a father and his son. How did you approach discipline when it came to, the girls, and then how did you approach discipline when it came to me?
Well, the thing is, the approach was virtually the same, only that the reaction from the children were different. I mean, there was the little testing.
Yeah.
Because children like to test their parents, and so you would probably and while I can't remember all the details of but the little tests, you say come, do this or don't do that, and it look at you as if to say, do you really mean it?
Yeah.
And while you're not saying it, it's like, what are you going to do if I don't do it? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and then again, there was the concern as you're growing that how will my children perform? How will they act as they are growing up? Because especially the fact that I was in ministry, doing ministry work, in the church and so on, and people are looking on, and so on. When you're in church, you want your children to sit nice and quiet and everything, and not to be, crying out so much and all of that. But they're children.
Yeah.
But sometimes, as parents, especially we the older ones, the younger ones these days look at things a little differently. But for us, the older, you need to be able to sit quietly and not be so fidgety and all of that, and because folk are looking on, and you're the leader or the elder or the pastor or whatever it is. So I can't let them see you behaving in a just like some of the others in a way.
Yeah.
Not that you think of the others as less than, but it's a matter of saying, well, we have to set the standard. Mm-hmm. We have to really be on top of things and so on, and that mindset sometimes really is not the best, in the sense that children are children, and there's a certain way they're going to act. Mm-hmm. And while you try your best, yes, if you are too long in church, for example, then they're going to get restless. And you have to understand that. You can't say, well, I want you to be,
So, but let's, before we get too far down that route, because I do want to touch on the public side of things. And I can tell you that I'm well versed in and definitely what the expectation of behavior was in public. Clearly, I had a lot of reminding that was necessary. But eventually it took years, decades later. But so before we get to the public side of things, how did you see us interacting as kids? Did was it kind of the girls and then me, or did we interact a lot with each other, or was it us and you? How did it?
Well, all of you, Jennifer and Lorraine, interacted well with one another. Of course, there were times when Lorraine and you had some little disagreements where you were at each other and so on. But and Jennifer was more like the pacifier.
She was a peacemaker.
To try to just see that everything went well. But you all did very well. You interacted well. You went, of course, as you went to school.
Well, sorry, let's not go that far yet. Not to the school age.
Okay.
But I mean, like, because I know Jennifer's 7 years older than me. Lorraine is 18 months older than me. So, of course, Jennifer and I wouldn't really relate at that young age.
Right.
More so Lorraine, but how did you see us interact as little kids?
You all were good in my memory. You were very good. Nothing outside of what is expected in terms of the normal activities of kids. Have your little play here and there, and so on. And so as you grew up, that's the kind of relationship you had with each other. Until you got to that area where you said you're going to discuss later. But yes, we just saw you as good kids and nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, so then, and I know we jumped into kind of after kids, after having me, but why don't you share a little bit of your occupation at the time, and then kind of, because what I want to do is paint the picture of what your career was at the time, and then when it transitioned to the pastor side of things, and then compare, the relationship there.
Yeah, I was always in leadership in the church. From very young age. Well, I would say from even the high teens.
Okay.
High teens, and in my early 20s, I was an elder, youth elder, and of course I used to preach a lot and do Bible studies and go out in the community, interacting and so on. So I had that, if you want to call it persona. People actually looked up to me, sought my advice as young as I was. Older folk, I was able to provide good counsel to even older folk. So it was one of those things where an older person in a young body, and I was regarded as a very reliable person, dependable, and they could count on me to lead young people. I taught in the Sabbath school, and recently in our 50th celebration, we heard that mentioned too, and so those young people looked up to to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, when we start getting into the church side of things, right? So you said you were always in leadership within the church. I know that, of course, you started various churches. When it came to, how did you balance the discipline, our discipline, and the rearing of us, and leading the church? Because that seems like, the church is very time consuming, because there are different aspects that you have to, function as. But so how did you balance the two?
Well, it was really a difficult thing to do, but again, we can talk about the relationship between me and my wife, because it's together we were able to raise you children.